You wake up in the morning and you're like 12 pounds heavier. What happened? Well, today we're going to talk about how to beat the bloat. All right, so as not to be telling tales out of school here, we're talking about water retention specifically. But there's a lot of different reasons why you could be retaining water, and we're not going to talk about all of them in this video. What we're going to talk about today is specifically sodium. Water retention from too much sodium. Sodium is on that list of things that in popular culture is kind of automatically demonized on account of how society indexes. So it's like cortisol or lactate, right? Most people are under-recovered, overstressed, and not in the best metabolic health. And so generally things like cortisol are bad, lactate is bad, or even estrogen in some cases is considered bad, right? Like, oh, low testosterone, high estrogen, bad. Wrong, all wrong, right? All these things are not only essential to our optimal health, but have very unique, very specific benefits to them. Sodium is in that category of items. Sodium is essential to hydration because one of its primary functions is to draw water into the cell. Sodium is also required for nerve impulses, and it also aids in nutrient absorption as well. So sodium is not a bad thing. In fact, it's a necessary thing. Now, the problem with sodium is that as a society, due to highly processed, highly palatable foods, as well as flavoring and preservatives for shelf life, we are exposed to way more sodium than we would normally get if we were eating a primarily whole food diet. And then you combine that with a society that is largely sedentary, particularly as we get older and generally more precipitously unhealthy, and then combine that with a high instance of hypertension, cardiovascular disease, atherosclerosis, stroke, heart attack, etc. As a general statement to most of America, at least, to say reduce your salt intake or don't add any salt to your food is probably a generally accurate statement, although not technically correct. And so that's where we want to go first, folks, is whether we're talking about the cheat meal, generally clean eater that bloats up, 12, 15 pounds after a day of binging on KFC, or we're talking about the individual that is just chronically bloated from this type of diet day after day. The obvious long-term solution is minimize your consumption of these foods. Now again, sodium isn't bad for you, and salt isn't dangerous, but even if you're not going out to KFC or Mickey D's, there's quite a lot of common food items that you get from the store on a regular basis that are laden with extra sodium. Number one, to improve the flavor, but also number two, to increase the shelf life. Like this P.F. Chang's honey chicken, for instance. Protein, squared away. Carbs, not too bad. Sodium, whoa! It's like there's 2 whole salt shakers in that thing. Again, it's probably pretty tasty, and it's probably good to stay in your fridge for a couple of years. Now, if you made that, and, honey chicken like that is maybe a stretch, but if you, just got like a duck sauce and a little bit of sugar and some chicken, and you made it in a pan, you could make something that tastes similar, probably has way better macros, and certainly a lot less sodium. So the first fix to kind of eliminate the bloat from sodium is just be mindful of your food sources. If it's frozen or some kind of canned food or from a restaurant, and certainly from a fast food chain, because, it's got to keep in the back after being shipped from wherever it got shipped from, which also takes a meaningful period of time before they heat it up and serve it to you. So any of those kinds of things are going to be laden with sodium just out of necessity. It's not like the food industry trying to poison you or anything. It's just the nature of the beast, right? This is why, unfortunately, even though chicken and turkey and, other kind of game birds are excellent sources of protein, if you get the packaged variety, they generally will have extra sodium in them, as the meat is injected with a sodium solution in order to, again, get them to keep longer. You don't necessarily have this problem with, your four-legged meats, or if you get your poultry directly from the butcher. Now, there's a couple other simple levers to pull that generally apply to everybody. One of them is your sodium-potassium balance, okay? So, simply put, sodium draws water into the cell, potassium pulls water out of the cell. Electrolytes 101. There's a lot more electrolytes, and there's a lot more to that, but that is a simple hand-wavy explanation of the process. So, if your diet is laden in sodium because, it's a busy day, you had to stop by the gas station, you grab some Hot Pockets, you're already at like 6,000 mgs of sodium, by the time it's lunch, eat some foods that are high in potassium. The one that comes to mind for everyone is typically bananas. Other tree fruits are also high in potassium, like avocados, apples, and oranges, root vegetables, vine fruits, sweet potatoes. There's a bunch of foods that have potassium in them. A simple Google search will do just fine. The other thing with water retention is if you don't consume a lot of water, and then on top of that, eat high sodium foods, then every little bit of water that you do consume, it's going to stick to your ribs. If your kidneys are working right, and you generally are drinking enough water to stay hydrated, then you're not necessarily going to be predisposed to retaining water in the first place. So what does this look like, folks? The three-pronged approach is going to be reduce consumption of high sodium items and eat more whole food so that you can actually add salt to it if you choose. Then number 2, continue to consume enough water to be hydrated so that you aren't predisposed to retain it independently of the sodium intake. And then number 3, make sure to include potassium-rich foods in your diet, like bananas, avocados, apples, oranges, sweet potatoes, so on and so forth. And the thing with these action items, folks, is they're little habitual things that have to be done consistently, because the magnitude of effect of you just, making chicken instead of having KFC one day over the course of months and years and decades of your life is minimal. But if you make a habit of making these decisions on a day-to-day basis, not only will it help you beat the bloat, but it can also help you avoid some of the negative downstream consequences of chronic overconsumption of sodium in the months, years, decades of your life to follow. Sodium in general, and salt specifically, are not inherently good or bad things. They are just another nutrient that, if misapplied or overconsumed, can lead to deleterious outcomes. Bloating being the least of them. So be mindful of your sodium intake, folks, and stay in the fight.